I'm feeling less white the more we talk about skiing. It's kind of great.
The issue is that Meadows will track them, but Timberline won't. And like, fuck skee ball. Like they don't even have the electronics capacity to do that.
They literally just have the thing for you to ski on.
Yeah, and like sort of lifts.
Yeah. Like, get up there if you can.
Skee ball is awesome. Like the skiing is amazing, but like it's one of the jankiest resorts I've ever been to, which is like, that also just increases the charm.
I legitimately thought skee bowl was like where people went to learn to ski before going. Yeah, I thought it was like for kids.
And
I mean, even the signs on the 26 look like this is a children's ski place.
It sort of does look like that for sure. And
as opposed to like Timberline, which is like, you know, famous.
Right. Well, Timberline is also famous for being like one of the flattest ski resorts out there at this point.
But it's got that resort, man.
Oh, I know. The building is amazing. We stayed in it last year for the first time, and it was so awesome. Just to be able to like go to bed, wake up, it's all of that. The bugaboo is it's a very noisy building, and that like everything's wood, and so like you're hearing so much like mechanical service and shit, and like, you know, the toilet flushes on the other wing, and you hear it. Like that's maybe hyperbole, but there's a lot going on with not a lot of insulation in that building.
Well, welcome to the Handsome Hockey One of Us Skis podcast.
The Handsome Hockey Architecture and Skiing podcast. I mean,
I'm lost on both of these things. I'm just here for good looks and charm. But my name is Jake, and sitting across from me is
Evan.
Yay. Sadly, of course, we can no longer talk about the whale. But we are here with episode 94. The much belated, because honestly, I think we're just kind of busy and
you were sick for a little bit.
Yeah.
And traveling and just life.
And well,
ain't no thing, just that life. Thing that we call life.
I was busy beating Ghosts of Tsushima on PlayStation. Whenever you get the chance to kill Mongols with a katana, I suggest you take it. Like, I'd like to try it in real life now, but I'm pretty happy with the electronic version as well.
I feel like Mongol with a katana simulator will be like a new thing that
it's a VR game.
Yeah, they'll figure it out soon. I mean, they'll start with fruit, but then move to Mongols.
I mean, that's just the natural progression of sword play, I think.
Speaking of sword play, this Coyote player, he separated some stuff with some knives and
or a credit card.
Got himself cut, if you will. What was even this little turd's name?
Adam Ruzicka.
Adam Ruzicka?
Yeah.
Who is Adam Ruzicka besides the guy who made Mike Richards feel better about himself?
Well, his last name suggests that it's all a ploy anyways. So like
Ruzicka? Yeah, it's a Ruzicka.
A Ruzicka.
He had some lines of something white in the back of a public Instagram story or video or reel or whatever the children are calling it these days. And he got himself cut. They cut him even faster than Corey Perry.
Do you think they drug tested him before they cut him?
No.
Or they brought him in. Well, no, the NHL doesn't have drug testing.
Yeah, and they're more like, they have more integrity than the Supreme Court in that the appearance of impropriety is enough for most NHL teams.
Do you think that, so like they saw the reel and they're like, oh, this is going to expire. So like somebody in the administrative staff went back to it and like just had to hold their thumb down so that it didn't play so they could show it to him like the next morning. So like one of their staffers was just sitting there with their thumb on a cell phone for like a good 6 to 8 hours.
That would be funny, but I'm sure like the professional Instagram creepers, like they have ways. They can just record the video, I'm sure. Stream it somehow. I don't know. It's
this would have never happened if Wayne Gretzky was still the coach. And
yeah, it definitely would not have happened. It's just like very funny that this is now maybe the most embarrassing way that a player has gotten cut. Like, we thought the Corey Perry thing earlier this year was bad, and then it's like, oh no, someone just got caught with blow.
We went from like one activity on the powder to another activity on the powder. Fresh pow here on the Handsome Hockey Podcast.
I like it. To be fair, as a Coyote, he was just doing his damnedest to try and catch that Roadrunner.
You mean, I think if Acme sold cocaine,
I'm sure at some point they did.
Gotten caught.
Back in the 1920s, I'm sure Acme sold cocaine.
Well, I mean,
probably says in huge letters, Acme cocaine.
Yeah. You can buy TNT, hula hoop, and cocaine, all from the same company. Acme is basically the precursor to Amazon.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Or Sears. I mean, you used to be able to buy a house from Sears.
Yeah, like the Coyote, he got his deliveries really fast, too.
He did, like...
Do you think Jeff Bezos was watching and was like, I can do that?
Yeah.
No,
like, this is what we need to be going after. It's like, you're putting on Looney Tunes, motherfucker? Yeah, no. Next day shipping.
And he was like, all of this in service of my dream to build a dick rocket. It's a metaphor, get it?
Speaking of dick rockets, I recently...
Chris Chelios.
All right,
Sorry.
There you go.
No, go ahead with your story. You said speaking of dick rockets, and you just left a door wide open.
Oh, I found out that one of my favorite recent shows, The Expanse, was Jeff Bezos' favorite show. And he like bought it, allegedly, because Sci-Fi canceled it.
No.
But it involves like probably like a first person experience of like what him in Dick Rocket was like. And I was like, oh, this makes so much sense now.
He actually was part of the team of consultants for that scene.
Pulls off a Tom Cruise mask.
Yeah. And you're like, well, that's more disappointing than Tom Cruise. At least when Tom Cruise flies things, it's entertaining.
Yeah. Speaking of more disappointing than Tom Cruise, Coyotes legend Chris Chelios. Yeah, for some reason they retired his jersey in Chicago. We don't really know why. I don't know. Hey, Red Wings legend, right? You ever play for the Wings?
You take that name out of your mouth. Yeah. I mean, he played for the Wings for a long time. There were some kind of interesting moments in his speech where he talked about how he was glad that Patty Kane had made the transition from Chicago to Detroit because it took some pressure off of him. Yeah,
which was kind of funny and kind of cool that he was on hand and then like scored the game-winning goal after all of this fanfare. Chris Chelios but participant in one of my favorite hockey videos ever, which is him talking about having Jules from Pulp Fiction as a hockey coach. If you haven't seen it, check it out on YouTube in all its grainy glory. It's pretty good.
It's unfortunate that he was at least at one point interesting because he looked like a soulless marionette on ESPN.
Yeah, I think broadcast TV is like, you just have to have a certain energy and mannerism for it, and that's not him.
PK Subban, however, it's him.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. Most of the guys on the TNT operation work pretty well. Like, give credit to where credit due. Like, Paul Bissonnette is pretty engaging on TV.
Yeah, I really liked Rick Tocchet when he was on there and was like, bummed when he got a coaching gig again, but then he's like definitely going to win coach of the year. So, hey, you know what? It was probably the right move.
Yeah, it was sad to see him leave to actually go coach hockey. It was like, hang on, guys, I'll be back at the end of the year.
Damn, they kept him.
I know. I mean, he's gone to a better place.
Like the good place.
The good place. Yeah. So
is that
speaking
still a
of
show?
I think it concluded a while ago.
Okay, I see like ads on it on Netflix, and I'm like, that must mean it's done.
Yeah, probably.
That's good.
So speaking of good place, yeah, Chris Chelios' jersey went to a good place in the rafters, in a bad place. And yeah, do we have anything else to say about this?
I mean, honestly, the biggest part of the night, the two things that were the biggest part of the nights were probably disappointments to Chris Chelios in that Michael Jordan didn't show up after saying he would.
I mean, well, what else is more iconic to the Chris Chelios and Michael Jordan relationship than Michael Jordan just not showing up?
Apparently, he doesn't go to Chicago very much at all, if ever.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I imagine it's like you just don't want to be that level of hounded somewhere.
For sure.
And also, I'm sure there's like a fuck this place kind of.
Yeah. You wonder what sort of relationship he has with the city at large. I mean, I know the relationship with the team is sometimes complicated for a lot of players.
Yeah.
But.
Well, the other good thing or thing that probably disappointed Chris Chelios was that Patrick Kane stole every single ounce of his thunder on his own night.
Yeah, I mean, from what Chris Chelios seems like is like, he's okay with that.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't give a shit. But
he's always sort of seemed like, yeah, I don't super give a huge shit.
But like Patrick Kane getting an OT breakaway goal passed to him from Alex DeBrincat, and then celebrating by basically antagonizing the crowd and yelling "Showtime" multiple times. I still hate Patrick Kane, but
the best part.
But when you taunt Chicago, I'm there for it for a little bit. I texted my brother after this happened, and I said, I still hate Patrick Kane, but if he's going to be a Red Wing, I'm glad he's good.
If you'd have told Chicago fans, hey, you're going to watch these two electric players score on you in an overtime to win a game in like 3 years, but it's going to be for the Red Wings?
Never. You would have won so many bets against Chicago fans.
You'd have also you'd probably get in several fights.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing about Chicago, right? They're going to beat you up for no reason.
Speaking of beating someone up for no reason, Mr. Rempe in New York is gigantic and just taking a gigantic beating, it seems. The guy has more penalty minutes than minutes on the ice. And his huge frame has just been seen at practice towering over everyone else, but also sporting gigantic black eyes. And I don't know. It's been this weird human story about how these guys are taking a huge beating just to do the thing they love. And this guy's super young. His brain isn't fully formed yet. So.
Well, it's also he's choosing to do this, I think, right? I don't think we're in.
He is.
I don't think we're in the early 90s NHL where the coach is like, hey, Rempe, earn your keep. And he has to go out and punch face.
Yeah, but that's what he's doing. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It's of his own volition. So he's making the choice to be basically a beaten scoundrel. He went into the fight with Ryan Reeves already having two black eyes.
The joke writes itself.
Ryan Reeves was probably disappointed that he couldn't actually blacken one.
Yeah,
he probably was like, I'm going to hit this motherfucker in the cheek because at least I can bruise that.
Yeah, Matt Rempe is from Calgary. So,
where they definitely stack shit that high.
Right. Like
the Texas of Canada.
He's probably like some sort of living Letterkenny experience right now.
Although I will say this, Texas, hardly beautiful. Calgary, stunning. So it's got that.
Nice.
West Texas. Well, no, Big Bend was nice.
Texas has some beautiful spots.
Yeah. A couple. But it doesn't have Alberta beauty.
Doesn't have Florida beauty.
That's a stretch.
Also a stretch is to say that everybody loves Nick Cousins right now.
Nobody has ever said they love you to Nick Cousins, and I think that's actually why he is how he is.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what's coming out in the wash right now is like, are we all, is the NHL just like Nick Cousins' therapy experiment? It's like, or do you think like he's at a counselor being like, why does everybody not like me?
Why do all the anonymous players in the NHL want to punch me in the face? Is it because I'm a douche? Oh yeah. No, I'm kind of a dick.
I mean, to be fair, that is his job. He's getting people off their game, and it's fucking working.
Yeah, yeah, okay. He's fine. I mean, I don't watch the Panthers enough, really, I think, to notice him as much as possible.
I mean, you notice their win-loss record.
Oh, yeah, obviously. But I legitimately, when I watched the Panthers and the Wings a couple of nights ago, I was like, oh, that's right. Nick Cousins plays for them. Who I really hate and who I think actually has the most punchable head, not face, but head, because of his haircut, is Ryan Lomberg.
I love that guy.
I want to see somebody just break his beak.
I love Ryan. I love him for all the reasons that you hate it. He looks like you just like pulled some random dude out of like a West Side yoga class in Portland and just like stuck him on skates.
And I appreciate it. Like this hatred is not like this puerile like I hope he dies. I do hope he gets his beak broken, but there's some respect there as well. But every time the Wings play him, I'm like, we need to get a guy who can kick his ass.
Which, I mean, like, Nick Cousins died on the ice the other day, and then he was revived because it's getting closer to Easter, and he got up like Jesus.
By Ryan Lomberg's hair?
No, he's like in fetal position on the ice, and then the second like the play goes away from him, he like pops back up and like joins back.
Yeah.
And he got fined for that.
Good.
Yeah, how much did he get fined?
I think it's only 5,000 is max, right?
Is that maximum? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he got just I don't know, whatever tawdry amount that they wiped their ass with.
I forget who it was, but some coach.
No, he only got $2,000.
Oh wow, some coach a few weeks back, maybe it was earlier in the season. I don't know. Anyways, they said like it's kind of funny. Like you watch a hockey player cross-check somebody in the face and get a $5,000 fine, but I tell a ref to go fuck himself and I get $25,000.
Yeah, and that was the other thing about that is you look at what he said to a ref and it's like, that ref must have been really having a bad day or something.
Well, in my head, I'm just saying like, well, get a better union.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the union stepped up for Nick Cousins, and instead of owing them a used Honda Civic, he only owes them a Subaru with the head gasket blown. So $2,000.
Okay. Anyways.
Anywho.
There's 15 hours left in the NHL trade deadline. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, it's very funny to be recording like with just a little bit left to go rather than after the fact.
It's kind of our MO though, is trading or recording before big things happen.
I mean, we're no puck soup. They record and like 5 minutes later, some shit happens. And then they're like,
yeah, but they get paid for this. So
that's
whatever.
Exactly my point.
Yeah. You know who's not getting paid for this anymore? Lindy Ruff.
Yeah.
Actually, he's probably still getting paid, but you know.
But he had a rough ride out of town.
So it was like him and Ja Rule and
The cops put him in back of the car and didn't buckle him down.
Was DMX a Rough Rider?
Oh,
DMX was a Rough Rider.
I get what you're getting at.
I don't think Ja Rule was a Rough Rider.
No, he just had a rough voice.
Yeah. So did DMX.
Who was the coach that got fired by Florida and he had to like take a cab? That might be the ultimate like roughest ride. It was Gerard Gallant.
Oh, should we do? Yeah, we're what were we talking about? I'm all over the place. Lindy Ruff got fired because the Devils suck, and
someone had to fall on that sword.
His GM gets to keep his job because it's definitely Lindy Ruff's fault that all of the goalies acquired by this team suck.
Yeah, it really doesn't seem like the person whose fault it is got dumped on. But that's life in a professional sports franchise. It's like, okay, the GM and the coach. One of you is going to go. Well, the GM can pull the cord on the coach faster than the coach can get the GM fired. So there's always going to be a bit of a power imbalance there.
Unless Steve Yzerman is both the coach and the GM, in which case, atomic bomb.
Yeah, he's just Dr. Manhattan.
Also fired was Todd McClellan from the Kings job. Shocking turn of events in LA, really.
Yeah, that they were so good and then like all of a sudden so bad.
On like a horizontal graph, like a line of position, there is a sharp intersection of Edmonton and LA with the arrows going the opposite direction from the start of the year.
I believe the term you're looking for is parabolic trajectory and intersection.
I don't think you know anything about math, architect.
I definitely don't know words.
Yeah, English major who vaguely stayed awake in math classes definitely has this right.
But yeah, to quote the recently protested Matisyahu, the king is without a crown. Or the Kings are without a crown. And do they even have a fucking goalie right now? Like, who?
A good goalie or a goalie?
Well,
they have Cam Talbot.
And he was playing really well.
Copley.
Right. They were both playing really well, and then they cooled off. But also, they were like outscoring their problems early in the season, and that has just not been happening.
Well, Talbot statistically was having a great year for like 30 games.
Super hot start.
And then
I mean, is that not something we've seen from Cam Talbot before?
Yeah, but this is like the whole team just letting out a wet fart for the last like 3 months.
Sure, but if you go from having 915 goaltending to having 865 goaltending, that is exactly what that will look like.
And that's why Lindy Ruff got fired.
Yeah, it really does seem like these are some of the most conspicuous like coach firing tied to goalie performance swings that I can remember. But yeah, it's a results league, and well, if your goalie ain't giving you saves, you ain't gonna be saved.
The next thing that we're here to talk about, because that's all we're here to do, is talk about things, and mostly
talk and opine, and
mostly we're talking about skiing.
Get out over our skis. I was just about to say, I was waiting for your punchline, and occasionally we'll wipe out and get a face full of pow, like that one guy on the Coyotes,
like Adam Ruzicka. We have a Jake Gensel trade.
Hell yeah, we get to breaking news.
By the time I get this by the time I get this edited, it won't be breaking anymore. But just refreshing the TSN trade tracker. Trade tracker.
Trade that good dadgum trade tracker.
Trade tracker.
I like trade tracker.
We are our own sound effects board.
We're out west. I like trade tracker. Trade trackers, like that's our startup for people that will go between two people in a hockey fantasy hockey trade, and badger them so that the other person don't have to send the texts multiple times.
That's me. I'm the commissioner that does that. I'm like, just send me your fucking text. Anyways.
Yeah, you just like seeing more trades. You're happy to like.
I sure do. I love a hot stove.
Did you get a third team trade in? Or
no,
that's for next year?
No, I didn't get a third team trade in, but I got conditional picks in.
That was nice. Yeah. Next year we get a 3-team trade.
Yeah, we'll do it. So in this trade that we are announcing on Saturday,
we would like
when I get this edited, Jake Gensel and defenseman Ty Smith are heading to the Carolina Hurricanes for Michael Bunting, Ville Koivunen, Vasily Ponomarev, Crus Lucius? Is this Chaz's brother?
Yeah, I think so.
Crus. Crus?
I think it's Chris.
Is it Chris? And they just spelled it like that?
My guess would be Nordic or Eastern European off the cuff.
No,
I don't know.
No. Chaz Lucius is Canadian.
I'm just talking about etymology of the thing. Because I mean, Lucius, we all know like Lucius is from Superman.
Hold on. They just spelled it wrong on the TSN trade tracker.
Thank
it's Cruz, Cruz, which is still bad.
Also, thank you, TSN.
But like,
fuckers.
Thank you for this bit of hilarity on my part.
Yeah, this is great.
But there's also a 2024 first and a 2024 fifth round pick attached to that.
There's a lot of moving pieces and parts here.
Both
and
of
also
which are
like
conditional.
Also players that will be perfect for the hockey player or pharmaceutical game.
Oh, it's a 2024 second round pick that's conditional on if Carolina makes it to the finals, it gets upgraded to a first.
And then we have the 4th round pick, which is conditional on the circumference of Rod the Bod's biceps.
It's actually a 5th round pick that is conditional. Pittsburgh only gets it if Carolina wins the cup. This is a huge win for, like, on paper for Carolina.
You see why it took them 80 years to get this trade done.
They even retained money on it.
But wait, there's more. Sunday, come on down. We got retainage.
Hold on, I gotta see if any of these guys are like actual prospects of like note.
Are they products, project, or prospects? I mean,
I feel
that is an important thing to consider.
I feel like John Cusack in Say Anything, where he's like, I won't buy anything that's processed or sold. I won't sell anything that's processed or bought, and I won't process anything that's bought or sold.
So he's a libertarian.
If you don't like John Cusack and Say Anything, you can go fuck yourself.
I mean, I love John Cusack in about every movie.
Pretty much everything.
I mean, is Grosse Point Blank just your upbringing?
No, I wish though. No, I lived in shitty Michigan. Good job for Carolina getting Jake Gensel. The real good thing about this is one of my coworkers who grew up in Edmonton has been trying to convince me all day that Adam Henrique is a better addition than Jake Gensel. And I was like,
that very well might be the case. I mean,
well,
I'm like, yeah, maybe you can see, but
well, when the biggest need in Edmonton was a top 6 winger.
Is that the biggest need?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I would just say any sort of secondary scoring.
Well, no, they needed a top 6 winger, and they needed like some sort of defenseman. They traded for Troy Stetcher today,
and Henrique can play wing or center,
but he's not top 6.
Yeah, he could be a second liner.
Jake Gensel's a first wing winger, though.
Sure, I mean, but they got Henrique for a veritable song and a dance compared to what
I don't know. I feel like this is not a like big return. Yeah. So Elias Lindholm was traded like 6 weeks ago, and I think we've recorded once since then. So
that was a joke.
Yeah. Whatever. In like more modern news, as of today. We're not going to worry about like what the returns were so much as just like whether we're happy for that player or not. I think.
Or just random comments about
vibes.
Vibes.
This is all vibes podcast. Anthony Duclair to Tampa.
Finally, someone we can use from the modern era for Puck Doku, for someone that played for Florida and Tampa. I don't have to learn like 6 dudes' names from the 90s.
Yeah, who were all just like, oh, you mean I just have to move up north?
I could have sworn there was a old defenseman recently that played for both teams, but I looked into both and like, no, I don't know. Whatever Puck Doku it was, I like got murdered by this question. And so I took that personally.
Anthony Beauvillier has been traded, I think, for the second time this year. To Nashville from the Chicago hockey team.
Just one of the weirder stints in Chicago by like any player ever. Mark Lazarus said so on Twitter and also said, the guy seemed pretty nice, but didn't have much of an opinion on him as he only played 23 games with 6 points. Sorry, you wanted vibes, no stats.
Dude's gone from like New York to Vancouver to Chicago to Nashville.
Yeah.
He's done well with like the cities he's been traded to. He's now in the bachelorette party capital of the world.
He looks like he belongs in a bachelorette party all the time.
Yeah,
like,
he
sort of looks like a human Bratz doll. Like that's been the Anthony Beauvillier joke since we've been covering Anthony Beauvillier. But apparently he's a very nice person.
Yeah. Bowen Byram headed to Buffalo. Bowen Byram Buffalo for Katie. Katie
Middlestat.
It's been a long time since we've recorded, and I gotta tell you, I'm flubbing all the nights.
Actually, you've been doing fine. Katie Middlestat is just very funny.
Katie Middlestat has really just flourished in her like first year as a art history major. I
think Casey Middlestat maybe has a sister playing hockey.
I hope their name is Katie. Anyways, so Casey Middlestat, I almost did it again too, was traded to Colorado for Bowen Byram. This is the legendary, unheard of, overhyped hockey trade.
1 for 1. Everyone just kind of shrugs their shoulders and goes, yeah, I guess.
I think, our Buffalo friends were convincing us that this was a huge win for Buffalo. But honestly, I think at least for this year, it's a huge win for Colorado. They get a legit 2C to kind of plug in where, Ryan Johansson sucked all year.
And boy, did they get rid of him in a hurry.
Yeah, they got rid of him real fast. So shipped him over to Philly for Sean Walker, which was also another great trade.
With the assumption being that Philly's going to take him out behind the back and shoot him. But
like any respectable horse gets done.
Casey Middlestat also, to Colorado's credit, like got room to grow. He's still only 16.
He's the opposite of Michael Bunting.
They are, they're on two opposite ends of the fake age spectrum.
Adam Henrique went to Edmonton, which, regardless of how well this trade plays out, no team from Canada will ever win the cup again.
Yeah, even if you have Henrico Suave on your team.
What'll be really funny is the conference semifinals will be like Vancouver versus Edmonton and then like Vegas versus Colorado. And
I'm in.
Whoever wins from the Canadian team will then just get destroyed by whatever American team wins.
It's it's likely to happen. That American team full of Canadians will do its job.
Perfect. Yeah. No, that's
they'll do its job for the good old US of A.
You gotta USA #1. Yeah. You got to keep Canada down. Can't let them get an uppity.
And that's actually what Vladimir Tarasenko said about wanting to go to Florida. He openly confirmed that he waived his no trade clause for the only place he wanted to be, which is in the good old US of A, in the land of DeSantis.
Yeah, he's he just wanted to be really close to Cuba because there's a reenactment of the Cuban Missile Crisis that is coming up. It's
the reenactment of the Cuban Missile Crisis is just like a bunch of people being stressed and listening to the radio.
Yeah, it's like the 60th.
It's the most boring fucking reenactment ever.
60th anniversary of maybe the Russians sending missiles near us.
A reenactment of like the Bay of Pigs is more interesting.
It's really funny that we like think of the Cuban Missile Crisis as this big fucking deal because like we had nukes in Turkey pointing right at Russia.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we were like, how dare you do that to us people? No.
I mean, that's boss level foreign policy, baby.
Yeah, that's JFK's big stick.
Yeah, the problem is if you do a reenactment of the Bay of Pigs invasion, it runs the risk of being larger than the actual Bay of Pigs invasion.
If you've got more than 12 extras, it's nothing.
Yeah. If you have to assign your extras numbers and can't go with their names, then it's too big.
Do you think like because Kennedy inherited the Bay of Pigs invasion from the Eisenhower administration, and do you think they like told him about this? He was like, that sounds stupid. I like it. Get it done. That was a modest JFK.
Yeah, that was all right.
That was okay.
If you give me some more drugs, I'll sign it. Where were we at? NHL trades.
Chris Tanev to Dallas, which, Dallas is really good and got a good, he'll probably play on the second pairing there. And
talking about
take time away from Ryan Suter, which is really good for their playoff
chances. Ryan Suter's still in that team? Jesus Christ.
Oh, for like another 3 years.
But yeah, talk about strategic defensive moves. Yeah. Jeez. Talk about players that you're surprised weren't put out to pasture. Ryan Suter is still playing minutes.
Ryan Suter has one more year on his deal. He's 39. Man. And like...
You playing like
Dallas
5 minutes a night?
No, he's probably playing like 18 minutes a night.
Well, now Chris Tanev needs those 18 minutes and then like 18 more. So, dude, Chris Tanev eats minutes like nobody eats cosmopolitan breakfast at a hotel.
You know what? I have a soft spot for children's cereals.
Mm-hmm.
And if I see a new one that looks really stupid and like childhoody good, I will buy it. So I recently bought Kit Kat cereal.
Hell yeah.
It fucking sucks.
Really?
It is a disaster. It's like if a dumpster fire shit in a dumpster fire. Like exponential dumpster fire. It's so bad that like I cringed while thinking that I knew I was going to finish the box because I hate wasting food. But every time I opened it, I was hoping something else was in the box. So
that's how the Leafs fans feel about their team trading for Joel Edmondson.
It's really funny. Like I was reading the Athletic review of this and they're like, this was stupid.
Yeah.
They're trying really hard to be professional while saying this is a terrible fucking idea.
Yeah.
You gave up anything for Joel Edmondson? What the fuck are you doing?
Right.
And they're like, he's a big man. I'm like, who can't play hockey?
The wreck of the Edmondson Fitzgerald.
Ooh, nice. In Lake Gitchagumi.
Yeah. Lake Gucci Get Me.
That's his wife's nickname. I have no idea what I'm saying.
You get to decide what to cut or keep.
Oh, I'm keeping Gucci Get Me. Oh, I'm keeping that for sure. So outside of the Gensel trade, probably the biggest trade that has happened thus far is Noah Hannafin getting traded to Vegas. Everybody but Vegas fans is like, those fucking guys again?
Yeah, the rich get richer. I don't know how they have room for 3 really pretty good defensemen. And I mean, their salary cap definitely does not for long.
Well, that's because Mark Stone is out for the year.
Right. So Mark Stone steps out for a little bit to, heal his spleen.
Apparently he's got a lacerated spleen.
Yeah, which is
sounds fucking awful.
It also is funny that like Mark Stone gets LTIR every year with like some injury out of the show Vikings.
Yeah,
and then he comes back to like be in the Conn Smythe conversation.
Or early March, Mark Stone's like, guys.
Yeah.
It's that time again.
Time for me to get blood eagled.
Yeah.
and then finally magically healed.
Oh, I know Blood Eagled from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So yeah, I'm right there. Yeah, that shit's gnarly.
Right. And yeah, tough to come back from LTIR on a Blood Eagle.
Yeah. The sutures on his back are going to be real gnarly.
My side joke about Noah Hannafin is I can't help but call him Hannah Muffin in my head. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And so I just wanted to release that on the world.
I think that's actually his real name. He shortened it when his family shortened it when they came over on the Mayflower.
Ellis Island. Yeah. We're shorting Hannah Muffin.
They're like, just trust on this. You don't want Muffin in the last name. We're just gonna take some letters out.
Doing some editing.
And they're like, no, we're the Hannah Muffins. And they're like, just trust us on this. They're like, we purposely fucked up a bunch of names. This one, we're doing you a solid.
Here's some whiteout. It just got patented. We're gonna try this out.
You're the Hannafins now.
All right. The Drumps, come on down.
Can we tell people we're the Hannah Muffins? By the love of all that's holy, do not tell people you are the Hannah Muffins. Your kids will thank you for what I have just done for you. Welcome to the US of A. Stamp.
Now go find a job.
Yeah, now go get to Canada.
Adding only more hilarity to the trade deadline is the fact that the Toronto Maple Leafs also acquired Ilya Lyubushkin. Why?
I think it's time to move to the real hockey.
I'm fully down.
All right, well, let's talk about real hockey. The PWHL season has been
going and going.
I almost said trundling, but I feel like that has like a negative aspect.
Yeah, no, it's been going gangbusters.
Careening. I think that's a little bit better.
They have been breaking attendance records after attendance records after attendance records across the United States and Canada, just barnstorming their way through their first season. And reviews have been overwhelmingly positive from basically anybody, any hockey pundit who's attended a game has had really good things to say. Not without criticism or, hey, you could maybe do this better, because they've had, some missteps and foibles and like the people that couldn't like get in on time to a game. But like,
none of their teams have real team names,
right?
And none of their teams have real jerseys. But
they're having problems of being too popular. And like that gamble that you just talked about, bummer. I think it's paid off. Like, yes, we're going to look back on these jerseys like we look back on the fucking light gray, unadorned, like handsome jerseys of years past. Like
those are nostalgic and beautiful. No, I think we're gonna look. Yeah, the gray jerseys with black numbers, and that's it.
It's gray on gray. No, dude, that's just a gray jersey.
One shade of gray.
No, it's gray on gray.
No, there's shoulder patches.
It's subtle. It's a sailboat.
No, it's a sailboat is a schooner is a sailboat. Stupid head.
You got the reference.
You're goddamn right.
Thank you for being another old millennial.
So I think these jerseys are going to go down better than this year's MLB jerseys made by Fanatics.
God, yeah, that's for sure. Oh, wow. Yeah, Fanatics might have like taken the heat off of everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm getting like a girlfriend like sharing me like major league players' dongs showing through their pants. Like,
yeah.
Thank you for that.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't really appreciate my own dong, but like other dongs, sure, why not?
What we need to do is we need to get you some Major League Baseball pants.
It'd probably finally look somewhat reputable.
Welcome to your men's group. Today, we have a gift for everybody.
We got everybody, remaining men together. In PWHL, wow, we're fucking all over the place this back half of this one. So this happened a hot minute ago, but we probably haven't recorded since it happened. But the Boston team has acquired defender Abby Cook and forward Susanna Tapani from Minnesota in exchange for Sophie Jacques, which is the first trade in PWHL history, and as of right now, the only trade in PWHL history. One of the things that I've heard is that teams, they can't trade draft picks as of yet, and so... As
you know, as a commissioner, that's key.
Yeah, I instituted that shit real quick.
Talk about the thing that gets traded more than anything else.
So we aren't going to see many trades because any trade that is like 2 for 1 requires you to drop a player from your roster, much like fantasy hockey.
Yeah.
But this is real hockey on ice in places far away from us, but we still love it. So that's why we haven't seen any more trades. They're just kind of hard to pull off at this point in time.
Yeah, that you're not really inclined to make them easily.
Yeah, the league just isn't set up for it, and it's the first year. Like, that makes a ton of sense.
Right, you're still kind of figuring out what your players that you signed are, and also the pool of free agents is really still very robust, considering you just like axed a league and then took half the players. Like it's really competitive, and so we did see Michaela Grant-Mentis get released by Ottawa, which is kind of crazy to say because...
It's fucking wild.
Yeah. A year ago, she was the Buffalo Buttes leading scorer in the PHF with 9 goals and 21 points over 24 games. Nothing to sneeze at. And now she's being cut after being scratched for multiple games and only appearing in 6 games so far. I think this just speaks to what we talked about weeks ago when we were talking about rosters coming into this PWHL season, is like, it's going to be cutthroat and competitive all the way through into the season. One wants to be like a fly on the wall during practices, because you got to believe that Michaela Grant-Mentis did not go out without a fight. And there must have been some, tough moments, hard work, and a whole lot of battling before she unfortunately flamed out in this league. And I do think that this just underscores the quality of the hockey that you're seeing and the quality of the league that is being put in front of us. It sucks to see someone with such a storied women's hockey career wash out of it, but if that's the ropes, then I guess that's the ropes.
Yeah, I think this really does show, like, in a very pointed way, the elevation of competition from the NWHL/PHF to the PWHL. She was a league MVP basically when we started this podcast, right? It was MGM for MVP.
Yeah, for sure.
And she also signed what I think was an $80K contract. At that point, it was the largest contract ever signed in women's professional hockey history to play with the Buttes.
Yeah, she was one of those people for who this change in leagues swung so heavily. I mean, she went from one of the highest earners in one league to being cut from the next one.
And so it's with honestly real sadness that we talk about this, because, as one of the big things that we had talked about when we were starting this podcast was that it was super important for us to get in to the women's game. We wanted this to be an inclusive podcast. And Bucky is one of those people who were like first on the list of amazing women's players in this PWHL or NWHL that we were following. And so there's like maybe one of the first moments of like real loss in when we talk about the women's game on this podcast, because Michaela Grant-Mentis was such a foundational part of us really learning about like, oh yeah, we all know the Sarah Nurses of the women's hockey landscape, but getting to know Michaela Grant-Mentis and read the stories about her, I think, working for FedEx and then like also playing hockey and finally getting that big contract. So there's a moment of sorrow here involved in hearing
for sure.
this,
and
for us on a personal level, but for her especially, I think it's incredibly jarring because of that dichotomy, right? Like she went from making $80K and being the highest paid women's hockey player in the world to being out of a job in a couple of years. And that's a really harrowing and shocking development for a player who, I mean, was universally lauded as extremely talented.
And we did sort of call this, like we said, hey, we're going to see some story like this, and it does make sense that it's sort of a power forward in what has shown to be a incredibly fast league. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of. I don't know.
I think it's just, the evolution of the game, right? Apparently, this league is not built for Bucky, and that's fucking sad. The PWHL will live on, and hopefully MGM can continue somewhere in the world of hockey. If
right,
not
she's got options,
but,
probably.
Yeah, if not full time, maybe whatever. But
I think
for in the interim between whatever she does now, or what she's doing, or what she was doing, a couple of days ago, versus what she does next, there's some definite sorrow in play. And then finally in the women's game, the PWHL has signed an exclusive rights deal for trading cards with Upper Deck, the probably like second most famous trading card company in the world, I think, behind like Topps.
Yeah, I was going to go with most famous, but I don't know. It's been a long time since I bought a trading card.
Yeah, I haven't bought a Beckett card selling guide in like 30 years, so like maybe I'm wrong. But this is this is huge, honestly. Like I love that the PWHL is taking steps to be like a quote unquote serious league, if that makes sense. And not serious in that they're not like the like highest level of women's hockey in the world, but like there are just things that go along with that. And one of the like sillier things is trading cards. Yeah. It's just like this extraneous shit where you're like, oh yeah, of course they should have trading cards. And then you're like, oh wait, trading cards still exist. And then you're like, well, at least it's not NFTs. But like this is just something that kind of goes along with being a real functioning sports league. And so like it's kind of awesome that this is happening.
The PWHL actually shows that they are with the times by not releasing NFTs.
Yeah. Unlike the NHL that was like, no, maybe buy some shit.
And they're like, no, we like vinyl and real fucking trading cards. That's what's in with Gen Z, baby.
And so this is actually a really cool development. And, I don't think that we're going to have any PWHL trading cards that are as sought after as maybe a Dottie Henson Rockford Peaches card. But I am guessing that Marie-Philippe Poulin's quote-unquote rookie card is going to eventually, have a hefty fee attached to it.
I mean, maybe for rarity, a Michaela Grant Mentis card.
When Marie-Philippe Poulin retires as almost as good as Hillary Knight, USA number 1, that will be a big day, I think.
With the tagline of "She's gay, Marcus." Shout out to anyone that knows that punchline.
It's great.
We are 15 games into the PWHL season, and Montreal, with maybe the most convincing jersey, also has the most convincing record so far.
There's some big separation between the haves and the have-nots at this point.
Yeah, there's kind of in the playoffs and out of the playoffs already.
Like a 9-point separation between third and fourth place.
Which is very funny to see Boston on the outside of any sort of women's hockey.
Especially since their roster looks fucking loaded.
Yeah, they just need to, have some pride and...
I see what you did there.
Pull themselves up by their bootstraps or some shit. Someone I saw made a really good comment. Like, it's very strange to be attending the Pride Night for the Boston professional hockey team.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that team on paper, it's shocking that they are not good.
Sometimes it takes some time.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, like, we see this at the trade deadline every year with a team or two that bring in a whole bunch of people, and it's like, yeah, you just upset the whole apple cart there. So I can believe that when you go whole league upset and mix in a whole bunch of new players, it takes a while. And maybe an off season, and maybe, finding the right coach or some acquisitions or something. Toronto is close on the heels of Montreal, and also looks to be one of the powerhouses moving forward as we go for the stretch run into the playoffs here. They have a 7-game winning streak, which, I mean,
it's kind of a big deal when you've only got 15 games under your belt.
Right? Yeah, I was going to say, you've been on a winning streak for half of your games so far. And then I'm happy to see that Minnesota's doing really well. They're kind of third in the rankings. I know a lot of people lost out when the Whitecaps went away, and to have a strong team there from the get-go. I know Montreal and them have had some really spirited games at the Xcel Energy Center that have broken some records. And yeah, they have been drawing heavily. I think even more than they thought they might. So that's really happy to see. Behind them, we already talked about Boston, and then towards the pits, we have New York and Ottawa.
Which makes me sad because Haley Skimura plays for Ottawa, and she's one of my faves.
That's a bummer. Yeah, so there's a lot of talent coming out of college, like Sarah Fillier, Kayla Barnes, or Hannah Bilka, but some really top European players like Rhonda Solvainen and Nora Toulouse. It's starting to show that it's a very dynamic league and people are buying in very quickly, and that's making it all the more exciting, I think. Another thing that they're kind of struggling with is goaltending is too good. And a lot of people are, developing kind of the wrong ideas about shooting and scoring, when the fact is, like, every one of these 6 teams has 3 professional goaltenders.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I both have hopes for and fears about future expansion.
I feel like they have to because of that.
Yeah, I think they have to because there's too many good goaltenders. But are there enough good skaters to fill those teams is like, for me, is the big deal.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they can fully expand until those initial like 3-year contracts for like the big stars end.
Probably. That makes sense.
But I mean, in that time, other big stars will find themselves, right? So I think it's there's a good chance that we see like the complete opposite of what we're seeing now as far as standings go next year. Like Hillary Knight's not going to have 5 points in 14 games next year. Right?
No, probably not.
Yeah. So like it's going to be there are going to be, I think, some really wild roster changes this first off season too.
Oh,
so
for sure.
like every team, they set the date for the draft. It's sometime in June. But so it's 7 rounds and 42 picks. So, you know, every player or every team is going to get another 7 draft picks added to their roster, right? And you don't have to sign all your draft picks, but that's a massive influx of hockey players.
I can just hear your excitement as a league commissioner. Like, no, this is so cool.
The draft.
I know.
I always flub it, but I love the draft. So like,
well, you make it good for everybody else.
Yeah, I just don't. Even this year, I was like, I prepared so much. I'm so excited. And then.
No, your problem is you just draft way deeper than you ever need to.
Yeah, I think I overthink it. I'm like, this guy's going to have like 18 points when everybody expects him to have 7. Oh, got him in the 6th. Yeah.
Missed the 35-point guy.
Yeah. Oh, damn. The 35 goal scorer. Oops.
Oopsies.
So I think.
Bye, Brock Besser.
Yeah. Bye. Big changes are coming. So like whoever wins this year might suck next year in the NW or PWHL. But I really love what the PWHL has done as far as a product on the ice.
Mm-hmm. It's been violent.
It's a little bit heavier than a normal women's game. It's honestly, it feels like every time the U.S. plays Canada, and that the physicality that is allowed between the two teams.
It feels like professional hockey.
Yeah,
in its grittiness and kind of, you know, we've also I forgot to talk about this. We also saw our first suspension, did we not?
I don't know. It was Katie.
We might have talked about this
I forgot.
Last week. I think Taylor Wenchowski got one game for a hit on Amanda Boulier. Yeah, I think we talked about that last week.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
But
last week, that's
last
rich.
month, yeah. You know, a lot of big firsts to go through, so it's fun to see them go through. Next, we're gonna have like first multi-game suspension. Like what are the also ran sideshow firsts that the PWHL needs to go? Like first off ice incident,
probably first fighting major, first off ice cocaine suspension.
Yeah, first off ice cocaine suspension.
The NHL got to that this year. I mean, the PWHL is next.
First international incident, that would be good. First time getting stuck in a Buffalo snowstorm.
No, that already happened. They had to cancel.
That's right.
games,
that already happened.
Or no, it was.
I mean,
Boston
that was
canceled. Boston had to cancel games because of snow.
I was gonna say that was PHF, but yeah, you're right. That was PWHL.
Yeah.
I don't know what do you have, like first like racist defenseman? I'm not sure.
I really hope that doesn't happen in the women's game. I like let this be a light, please. Let us show them what hockey can be like if you're not total douchebags.
I was following a woman's player, a NWHL player, who posted some Trump shit, and I was like, I'm just gonna unfollow.
Yeah.
But you know,
was it Kelly Babstock?
No.
They shouldn't drag her bad name through the mud.
No.
So I guess we'll shift back to fake hockey for our end of the episode. A couple of weeks ago, we saw as Ottawa finished a game by a Ridley Gregg empty net goal.
You sure it's not Grieg?
Yeah, no. I'm gonna go with Greg though.
Old Grieg.
Old Greg hanging out with old Pocket Watch and old stepbrother.
Can I interest you in some Baileys?
He takes a hard shot to finish off an empty net goal. And as he turns away to skate back towards the bench, Morgan Riley pounces on him like a puma on a rodent and just starts beating him about the head.
I didn't know that pumas cross-checked rodents in the face in order to kill them, but the more you know.
Yeah. This was some Bush League ass shit is what I'm saying.
I think everyone expected Morgan Riley to do something, but he had enough space in between him and Ridley Grieg to decide something better to do than cross-check him in the face. Sure. Give him a hit, talk to him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, tell him his mother's ugly,
right?
And tell him that he doesn't know how to dress himself, but cross-check him in the face for doing a perfectly legal play that doesn't hurt anybody. Besides your apparently small, your tiny dick energy, mentality, just fucking grow up, Morgan Riley. I'm so glad he got suspended and then his suspension got upheld. This was such a stupid asshole. Well, one, because I was playing the guy in fantasy who had Morgan Riley the week he was suspended.
Ooh,
but also because it's just fucking stupid. There are ways to go about this, if you need to go about it at all, that don't involve maybe maliciously hurting a player. Face wash him, slap him on the butt. I don't know what you do. Take him to Adam Ruzicka's house and get him high and videotape it. Whatever you want to do. But this shit, it's totally stupid. It's totally asinine. And there were a bunch of people who were like, oh, well, you knew something was going to happen. And it's why? What is the sport upholding in this instance? Fucking nothing. It's just some bullshit shenanigans. There's no need for it whatsoever. And I love hockey, and despite what we're about to talk about, but the culture of toughness and I'm just here to defend my bros, is fucking stupid.
Yeah,
First off,
we're big tough men, but the second you do something slightly showy, we just lose it.
Yeah, first off, as Tom Segura has accurately said, there's no solidarity between white dudes. There is, but it's called racism. But if a black guy and a white guy are fighting, white guys aren't jumping into that fight. They're nah, we're good. Nah, get him. White guy solidarity comes with a different kind of flag, and we all know what flag that is. The American flag. But this was just completely stupid, and I was really upset about it and was actually really glad that we weren't recording that week or the next week or the week after, because I was just so pissed off about it. And
really?
Because it's absolutely stupid. If this happened to me in one of our games, especially roller hockey, I would have been thrilled that we were within one fucking goal and pulling our goalie was an option. But in this case, it's stupid. It's totally stupid. And you're not defending your honor. You're just making yourself look like a butthole, and you got a 5-game suspension out of it. So, good look, Morgan Riley. I know they didn't, but I hope the Leafs lost every game he was out, or won every game that he was out, just to show him that he's not even that cool.
Yeah, and then got the dumbass idea to add just only bad players at the death.
They were oh man, Morgan Riley got suspended 3 weeks ago. I know, Joel Edmondson.
Yeah, I kind of loved the slap shot personally.
Oh, I loved the slap shot. I just thought the reaction was so juvenile.
And it's one thing, yeah, if you're gonna give him a rough ride or a shove, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Also, if you don't want to hate the slap shot, don't allow the slap shot and
don't
win
be
the
in
game.
a position to give up the slap shot.
Yeah, right. It's a professional sport, and you need to take your failures a little bit tougher, don't you?
Yeah. So dumb.
And most importantly, someone quoted Ridley Greig, Abby Murphy, for the University of Minnesota, in the waning moments of their 4-2 win over the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs, ripped a slapper in an empty net. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And, to her credit, she got a shove for it, but I don't know whose name is on the other side of that because the person did the right thing.
Yeah, shove them. Sure. Cool.
Yeah, call him a bitch, whatever.
Hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad. Actually, I'm going to do it again. Okay, well, next time I'm going to tell you very politely again to don't do that.
You're such a gentleman, Jake.
That's my biggest
Always.
problem is
Always.
that I'm a gentleman.
Always being a gentleman.
Yeah. We Michiganders are just known for it.
You are.
I know.
So getting into some ungentlemanly behavior.
Probably the most ungentlemanly of behaviors.
I'm hoping we can sort of make this quick because this is mostly administrative, but the Hockey Canada 2018 sexual assault scandal and trial is moving forward as we speak. Rick Westhead has been reporting on this constantly, but we've been getting lawyers in rooms with judges, and they are having motions and filing briefs and deciding on the kind of greater structure of the trial. But
do they wear briefs or are they filing them?
Depending on
I feel like a file full of briefs would be really thick.
Depending on who you're talking about, you may be wearing briefs
Hockey
while
players?
filing briefs.
Well, hockey players have the hockey butt, so like
sure.
Those briefs are bigger than I think like the
how do you know they're not
briefs.
wearing thongs?
You know, that's a really good question. The players in question here are Alex Formenton, Michael McLeod, Cal Foote, Dylan Dubé, and Carter Hart. The initial lawsuit was for 8, and we've only seen 5 people charged. I'm guessing we'll know more about this as more trickles out, either when the trial starts or prior to.
Right. Or is the 3 remainder some sort of like indication on witnesses or people that were supposedly involved and weren't or whatnot? There are easily a million different ways that could go, and not all of them are like scandalous.
Yeah, and honestly, it's possible that they just didn't have enough evidence to take 3 to trial as well.
That is entirely true. The news from the legal proceedings is that they will be all tried 5 together. Some people have taken issue with that. These 5 defendants get to...
5 famous defendants as well.
I mean, they're not that fucking famous. They're middling hockey players.
They're all professional hockey players in Canada.
Sure, but they're not all famous. I mean, some of them are...
If you're
middling
in the NHL, you're famous. You're more famous than I am.
Sure.
Yeah. And I play ice hockey in a beer league.
You are currently playing hockey.
Yeah, they aren't. Prison league. Oh, their prison league. Their prison league team is going to be so good.
Does Canada have a prison league? Is that a thing?
It's the Canada's equivalent of the prison baseball team.
Right, or I'm thinking of the Longest Yard, fake prison football teams, or both versions, the Adam Sandler version and the Burt Reynolds version.
Big fan of the Burt Reynolds version. The Adam Sandler version was fine. I liked Nelly a lot in the Adam Sandler version.
Yeah, and also like the Burt Reynolds cameo. And who else was awesome in the fucking Bill Romanowski or something?
I think Bill Romanowski was just Bill Romanowski.
Right, and I remember him being cool. That might be a stretch, which I think that was the novel thing.
Yeah, I think Stone Cold Steve Austin was a guard.
Yes, that's true. He can act though.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what the WWE is. It's just theater.
Stone Cold Steve Austin has been acting ever since he adopted that persona. You see him on TV now, and you're like, no, that's a persona.
Well, sure. That's why all those guys can jump from WWE to movies, is because the WWE is theater.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing but. Like, it is almost more Shakespearean than it is anything else.
Except in this performance, women get to play women.
This is true. And I'm sure that there are a lot of right-wingers that really agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, right wing is a hard position to play on the ice because you got to be left-handed, like, for it to be like super effective. That's why I play left wing, because I'm right-handed. Oh, you were talking politics. Oh, wow. I thought we were talking hockey still. Anyways, so rape.
Yeah. Back to hockey. I'm not sure we have a whole lot more to say or update on this. We keep sort of like running away from it because it's awful to talk about, but it's important to kind of bring up and remind people that this is going on. And there is also another one of these scandals that is being investigated and is waiting in the wings.
2011?
Yeah, in just as a signal of how many more there are that aren't going to be adjudicated. So yeah, these are important things to talk about as much as they suck. And the last bit I have on it is that Calgary also did clarify their earlier statement in which I think Dylan Dubé kind of made them look like fools.
Yeah, they were like, he's leaving for his mental health or personal reasons.
We respect his wishes at this time.
Yeah, it's like, wish to be free after committing a heinous sin? Potentially allegedly having committed a heinous crime.
Yeah, so they got definitely left holding the bag there, which is, I mean, that's kind of what Calgary's been doing these days, just up and down the lineup from
beautiful country.
Yeah.
Not beautiful minds.
Players aren't getting it done. GM's not getting it done. And also your players are involved in one of the more awful hockey scandals in recent memory
of all time. Yeah.
And you got embarrassed by your player who outflanked your PR by asking for a mental health break before he was charged with rape. Oopsie.
On the plus side of hockey, Jack Hughes skated 10.97 miles in a 60-minute game, which I believe is the most measured all time, or since they've been measuring said things. So in like the last, 8 months. Yeah,
I mean, this is the new NHL stat gathering expose thing that is also really weird and hard to use. So I've been trying to mess with it. This also at one point registered Jack Johnson as the fastest skater.
Yeah, wasn't it last year?
Last year,
and the fastest recorded skater,
which is either an error or like they just measured him falling. Which you just measured.
They dropped him from the rafters on like a bungee cord, and he's like, boing.
If he was skating as fast as he can, and then you add gravity, maybe.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jack Hughes, this I thought was kind of a cute story. Is that the young men these days, they're sensitive and they need their bedtime. And the young team, the Senators, has yet to win a single game in 12 games on the road in the West.
They are, as we record, tied 3-3 with the Kings with 3:27 left in the third. That's a lot of threes.
Yeah, wow. That's I'm going to make a wish or something.
Like if one of our eyelashes fell out, we could use that. And if we're recording at 11:11, I'm going to strike you down. But
we might still be messing with your hockey sticks. So
good deal. Hopefully the Senators pull that out. If not, it's just more fun. We'll update you next week.
It's not often that we finish while the games are still being played. For as long as an episode is, we've been pretty efficient.
And then finally, after 2 years after being diagnosed with cancer, Ivan Miroshnichenko scored his first ever NHL goal for the Caps. They won 6-0 tonight. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, thankfully Tristan Jarry got pulled
for your benefit.
Yeah. That was looking real bad there for a while. Speaking of, what the hell is going on with the Penguins?
Why do you think they traded Jake Gensel today? The season fell apart. They're bad.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, Erik Karlsson is definitely not the problem. Like,
actually, it's Evgeny Malkin. He's been bad.
Yeah.
Crosby's having like a borderline heart candidacy season, and they still suck.
The fact that they have so much locked up in all those guys, then traded for another singular huge contract and have zero depth. Who could have thought?
Good luck, Kyle Dubas, undoing the Ron Hextall year. And with that, good luck to us as we read our internet availability. You can find us on the internets at handsomehockey.com, Handsome Hockey Podcast on Instagram, Handsome Hockey on Threads, at Handsome Hockey on Twitter, which is actually where you'll also find Evan, because I'm sure his account has been banned several times.
Actually, I'm back now.
Oh, that's fun. HandsomeHockeyPod at Gmail if you want to email us, and Handsome Hockey Facebook and YouTube pages.
Yeah, some of these need to be more updated than others. Oh, well.
Probably Twitter is the easiest way.
We've loved engaging with a couple more fans than we usually do recently, so that's been fun.
Especially Jenna Tribbiano, who has been chatting with us for, a couple of years now. They're the coach for the University of Michigan women's team. As I say, pretty much every time they are brought up on this show, they need to be D1. Michigan has the money. Make them a D1 team. You lackluster fucks.
Seems like it's going to happen soon.
I really hope so. Thank you, as always, for listening to us. I think this is our first recording in damn near a month. No promises. Every time we do this, we promise to be more thorough and more quick on the next one, but no promises this time. I'm just going to say we'll get to you when we get to you, but hopefully it's sooner than later.
Think of us like the mail in the olden days.
Yeah. We get to you when we get to you, but God damn it, it'll be full of letters from your grandma. And with that, stay handsome, everybody.
Restez beau, tout le monde.